good, Devin? You like what kind of magic spell or fantastic speech did you give after the GW game that has seemingly turned things around a little bit, especially defensively? What has clicked in the last two games?
Yeah, I mean, I think the guys just took it upon themselves to be more committed to help one another on defense. I think going back and you watch the film of the first two conference games for us, wasn't that we didn't necessarily try, right? It was, St. Bonaventure, shot the ball extremely well. Easily you have to make a lot of the shots that they made, and they certainly did that particular day. But we clearly were not connected enough on defense, and I think it opened everybody's eyes, a little bit, because we had made strides offensively. We'd been focusing on our offense, trying to really get that going because we had some early season struggles there, and the defense was kind of keeping us in games. And then it took a little bit. It didn't take a back seat. It's just it's the natural way of things. Sometimes you get a little bit spoiled, and all of a sudden the ball's going in the basket, and the defense takes a back seat. Not intentionally, but it just does. And I think our guys, were smart and listened and were honest with themselves, looked themselves in the mirror and said, "Hey, we can do better." And I think certainly perfect is not the goal, but for us, the process was much better, and we weren't making the same mistakes.
It will click for every team differently each year, but as a coach, do you have to have a little patience? The way the game is now, with the transfer portal and with kids coming and going, does it take a little longer to click? Again, based on the team, but do you have to set yourself up to be a little more patient in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, I think you always have to be patient, with your team, but not complacent, right? And I think, for us, we've got to push it as fast as we can and, learn as fast as we can. And, you combine the transition plus younger players that have been thrust into new roles and kind of first time in it. It's a natural way of things. You have to learn through experience. And, I think certainly, our guys are getting valuable experience right now, but, no one is satisfied with the start that we've had. It's been a disappointing start to the conference, losing 2 games at home and then, finding a way to win, 2 on the road is not easy, especially when your confidence is shaken a little bit. And so I'm really proud of what the guys were able to do last week, but, we've got a lot more games, coming at us, here, 2 in Siegel, and then we'll go back on the road again.
As a coach that has now come into this program in this league, how big is having a national spotlight that the A10 does on Friday nights on ESPN2, and what kind of an opportunity is that for every team that gets to play on Friday?
Yeah, it's huge. Not everybody gets to do that, and it's something that as kids you grow up, wanting to play in that environment and play on national television like that, and we're very fortunate here at VCU and in the A10 that we have that opportunity throughout our conference.
You said Zeb has dealt with back spasms before. Any update on his prognosis and hope for him to be able to play Friday?
Yeah, he's getting a little bit better, but we'll just have to take it, day by day to see kind of where it shakes out. They have a day off today, to kind of get their bodies, back, and we'll see, tomorrow kind of how he's feeling. And I know Jay Wall's in contact with him, our docs, just trying to get it loosened up. You know how it is when you have a tight muscle in your back. You got to get it loosened up, and it's hard to walk. It's hard to do anything if your back is having issues. And so, we're hopeful, but we certainly can't count on it.
Zach's never been tight in his life, so he can't. With Bear Stowe, is that kind of closer to what you envisioned his impact on a game being what we saw?
I mean, I don't think you ever go in and say, "Hey, I need you to get 12 assists," in a game. But he is somebody that we're comfortable having the ball in key situations, whether it's and relying on him to make a positive decision for our team. And I thought he did, throughout the game. He played at a good pace. He made sure that when he got in the paint, he stopped, so his decisions were easier. And he found the right guys, whether it was his own number or it was Toby at the rim or Firm or kickouts, to other guys. Kwani obviously made some big shots in that game. He certainly was a big reason why we won.
You mentioned needing to get back to those defensive principles after some offensive success. What do you think triggered that for the guy? What has created that success here?
Yeah, I think they're just more committed to playing every possession until it possibly ends, and I think helping one another, whether it be at the rim or in gaps, your transition defense, all the things that go into having a solid defense. And we still, we're not perfect by any stretch at LaSalle. We gave up multiple, transition buckets, especially to end the half. Gave up a 3 and a dunk, in transition. We gave up quite a few offensive rebounds in that game. We had our most missed blockouts, in the season in that particular game. And so there's still work to be done, for us. And, you have to be truthful, with the team, but also, they've got to be truthful with themselves about, where we're falling short right now. And, I think that's the great thing about this particular team is they're willing learners and they understand, that, they aren't perfect, but they want to win. And so they're willing to do the things necessary to help themselves and their teammates get better.
It was another game that was, tightly contested to the finish. Seems to be the way the A-10 is this year. Are you hopeful for, I know you're always hopeful you put it away early, but are there lessons to be learned from all these tight games you've played?
Yeah, I think there's no question about it. In conference play, you're going to have tight games. And you've got to be able to win, whether both teams are struggling to stop one another and it's a big number, or it's both teams are struggling to score and you got to find a way to manufacture a basket, whether it's just getting to the free throw line or sometimes getting a little bit lucky when both teams have it clicking defensively. And so ultimately you have to get the stop when you need it. You have to be able to get the basket at a key time, and we've been fortunate in the last 2 games to be able to do that. But it's certainly something that you can reach back to and gain experience from, and you have to continue to find new ways, to do it as well, and continue to evolve, and with the hope that eventually, you're going to be clicking, and like all of the guys are going to feel ultra comfortable in their roles, and they're going to be playing good basketball at the same time, and we haven't necessarily had that. Yet this season.
Has Michael Bell's presence helped turn this thing around defensively a little bit? Obviously had some really limited minutes there to start conference play, and then it seemed like that increased a good deal in the Mason game and then into LaSalle. What does he do for everyone else defensively?
Yeah, I don't think it's solely on Michael, right? But I think he's definitely, helped us, a ton because he's a versatile defender. You can put him out there on a point guard like Brickus, and he made some good plays there. And then, you can put him on a bigger wing, as well, a 4 or a 3, that he can guard. And so he's given us some really good spot minutes, in the last 2 games, as have others. We put Fats in there the other day, and I thought Fats did a nice job at LaSalle for us. His minutes were excellent in that game. And so I think, more than anything, it's been a collective effort. That's what we've been hammering to the guys. It's not one person, right? Your defense is based on 5 guys working together to try to make sure that your opponent takes the hardest shot possible or doesn't even get a shot sometimes, right? And that's when your defense is really getting better. And, the guys are taken to that, and they understand the importance of it. And certainly Michael, that's something that we know he can bring to this team, right? And we continue to do that.
Is this a bit of a bye week? And what kind of opportunity does it afford you getting to watch St. Louis play at Dayton tonight, and then they have to come into your place?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always good. We need it at this time. Certainly with Zeb and his back, Sean, just kind of getting back into things. Not a bad time for it to happen for him to get a little bit of extra rest. Max, heavy minutes. Some of the guys, like we had some different lineups. J. Nell goes down the other day, Zeb's out, so all of a sudden some different lineups were out there at the 1, 2, and 3, and so giving them a little bit extra rest, at this time of year is never a bad thing. But at the same time, you can do your work through film. We had a good spirited practice yesterday, and we've given them today off, and then we'll go back at it, with the typical prep, on Wednesday and Thursday.
Gibson Jimerson, Richmond kid, was
Yeah.
7 for 11 from 3 for them, I think, in their win over St. Joseph's. What kind of challenges does he present?
He's a great player. He can really shoot the basketball. He's been extremely consistent during his career shooting the basketball. If you look back years past, and right now he's shooting right at 40%. When he lets it go, you think it's going in, and so we've got to do a really good job on him and make sure that he's not having clean looks over the course of the evening. And I like their team. They're starting to round into form. The last 5 games they've played much better. Certainly from an offensive standpoint, scoring well over a point per possession, and I know they're probably similar to us, not the start that they've wanted, and now they're going into the team that's probably playing the best overall, in our conference right now, which is always a tough place to play. And so, we'll see how that game shakes out. We'll watch it tonight, and then continue our prep, for what we know will be a tough game.
You didn't face them when you were at Utah, did you?
No, we never played.
What?
Other teams in our conference did.
Yeah.
I think Boise played them 1 year. Actually, 2 years. They played a home and away. And I'm trying to remember if anybody else ran into them in like one of the tournaments or something.
But their reputation kind of precedes
Oh, yeah,
them,
no doubt.
regardless of the season that they've had so
Yeah,
far.
no question. I mean, they were up in the second half at NC State. NC State's having a great season, this year. Obviously, having the toughness to be able to come back from being down 20 against St. Joe's, who we know is a good team, was really impressive. They've got a great coach and Coach Ford. He's been doing it a long time. I think it's like 27 years or something like that. He's been a head coach and won a ton of games, and they're getting healthy now, and got some guys back, and they're going to be a tough out, for anybody.